When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Every cloud has a silver lining. After the rain comes the rainbow. How many times have we all heard these quotes? I am sure a countless number. And what you probably don't want to hear right now is another speech about how important it is to stay positive. But I chose to write my chapel speech on a topic that I think is relevant to everyone sitting in this room, no matter how their life journey has looked so far. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Savannah Berridge, and that topic is resilience. When the word resilience comes to my mind, the first thing I usually think of is some terrible tragedy, such as the World War II or 9/11, and the brave people who had to live through these events. But after thinking about it some more, I realized that resilience can be applied to all areas of life, no matter how small or insignificant the challenge may be. I'm sure everyone can identify a time where they found themselves in a foreign situation, perhaps feeling overwhelmed or nervous about what the future had in store. When I reflect on my own life, I remember resonating with these feelings whenever I moved to a new school. Before attending Appleby, I grew up on the tiny island of Barbados, where my class only had 20 kids, and we were all so close it felt like one big family. When I moved back to England at age 12, I had to completely immerse myself into a new environment, which meant making new friends, joining new clubs, and even getting used to everyone talking in funny British accents, which apparently my friends tell me I now have. I remember those first few weeks in England when all I wanted was to go back home to all the creature comforts I had grown up with. But somewhere along the way, as I began to build new friendships and try new hobbies, I found myself feeling like this was a new home. When I came to Appleby 2 years ago, I remember feeling some of these same emotions of apprehension and butterflies in my stomach, as I didn't want to go through this process all over again. But one thing was different, as I now had the confidence that I could do this. I could make new friends, I could thrive in a new environment, and I could find my place here at Appleby, because I had done it all before. This taught me that challenges play such an important role in showing us that we can do so much more than what we may think, and that you really do grow and become a stronger person when you do things that you might not want to. Challenges set us up to perform better when we encounter hard situations in the future. Another challenge that I am sure some of you guys can unfortunately relate to connects to family life. I have always been super close to my sister, mum, and dad. Moving away from them when I started at Appleby was already a challenge, yet it did teach me that absence makes the heart grow fonder. However, there was one more challenge that I faced, one that I never dreamed of having to confront. Last summer, my parents told us that they were going to separate, and for me, being such a family girl, my world seemed like it was falling apart when I heard the news. The one thing that meant the most to me in life suddenly had a big tear ripped down the middle of it. Of course now, having had time to adjust, I realize that I am not in a unique position, and many of my friends have also had similar experiences. I have tried to use this experience to help shape me into a more resilient person, as I adapted to now living under 2 roofs rather than 1. Of course it still hurts, but I have learned to manage my emotions by focusing on what lies ahead in the future and also leaning on my tight network of friends for support. However, what matters most is not the challenges themselves, but how we respond to them. I don't know how many of you can relate, but I know for me, one of my childhood memories involves my dad reading the Aesop fables to me. And to this day, the message from one of the stories sticks with me, and I want to share it. The story involves an oak tree and a reed who were arguing about their strength. When a strong wind came up, the reed avoided being uprooted by bending and leaning with the gusts, but the oak stood firm and was torn up by the roots. We should all be like reeds, adapting to life's challenges by being open-minded and excited to grow and learn. Rather than being stubborn and unwilling to embrace change. There are so many examples of animals in nature that adapt to their surroundings in order to survive. Think about the color-changing chameleons who can blend into their backgrounds, or the penguins from Happy Feet, who are the only bird that can swim. Without these special adaptations, it is likely that these species would have been extinct or endangered by now. But as we are humans and not a chameleon or a penguin, we have to adapt in different ways, rather than changing color or swimming to catch our next meal. Although I'm sure some members of the Appleby swim team can definitely give penguins a run for their money when it comes to doing time trials in the pool. So, how can we adapt to become more resilient people in the face of challenges? Well, I think the answer lies not in the challenge itself, but in how we respond. There is always a moment right as we encounter a challenge when we find ourselves at a crossroad, which is the time when we make the most important decision. It is here when our strength is tested, when all we may want to do is turn around and go home, take the easy route out. Instead, we must take on a new perspective, one that is more optimistic and focuses on being grateful for what you do have, instead of focusing on what you are missing. For all of the grade 12s in the room, we are about to reach a major crossroad in our lives, one where our reaction can shape the next 4 years of our life. To those of us that haven't yet received our university acceptances, now is an opportunity for you to build character as you wait for your decisions. And to those who may have received responses that weren't quite what you hoped for, now is the time to go into this new chapter of life with a positive outlook. Don't dwell on the past and decisions that you are not in control of. In the long run, this will get you nowhere, so why not use this setback and transform it into a comeback? This is your chance to get the best out of what seemed like once a negative situation. Just remember that when you are there, that there is no better time to throw yourself into new things, try out a new hobby, join a new club, and make the most of your college experience. And to the few that have chosen to take a more unconventional route out of high school and take a gap year, this is sure to be an incredibly exciting yet uncertain time in your life. You have all taken a very brave step by choosing to further yourselves in ways that you may have not been able to before, whether that be in a professional setting, volunteering, or traveling around the world. I am sure that there will be times when you hear your friends talk about college life and all that comes with it, such as the classes and parties, and you might feel like you made the wrong decision. In these moments, you must remember why you made this choice and the goals that you want to achieve during this time. But the challenges won't end after uni, as entering the real world will come with a whole new set of uncertain situations. That's what keeps life interesting. In these times, it's so important to look ahead and imagine the possibilities, because the world is an ever-changing place, and often this is for the best. For instance, there is going to be a time when we start to look for summer internships and then full-time positions, and we may not get what we want on our first try. But we must remember that new opportunities are always arising, as even 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been created yet. Remembering that the best is yet to come is important when you are trying to keep an upbeat attitude in trying times. There is always a voice in the back of our minds that is constantly there, breeding negativity. Sometimes it is quiet, just a hint of doubt that we may not be entirely comfortable in the new situation. And sometimes it is loud, shouting to us that we are facing a challenge and that there is a big chance that we might fail. But when we are faced with this voice, we must ask ourselves a question. What if? Whilst the voice may be asking, what if we fail, we have to turn this into, what if we succeed? Having confidence and daring to test your limits is what is going to help us move forward in life and to reach new heights that before we could have only dreamed of. Please stand up for hymn number 133.